Hi guys, and welcome back to another episode of Immeasurables. Now, to be honest, well, I can't say that because I've loved filming every single episode, but these past two episodes have been so fun to film. Like, the topics have been my favorites, and I'm just so excited to bring to you this next upcoming episode. So, with that, I present to you episode 7, which I will get into after my spiel. So, Immeasurables, like every other episode in the series, has been about standing out against the crowds and kind of finding yourself in fashion. So if that topic interests you, I highly suggest you subscribe and follow for more Immeasurables content. Also, keep up with us on our Discord and our social medias. All the links will be in the bios below. So with that, I'd like to give you my current obsession with the 70s. As you could probably tell by my super 70s attire. All right, disco all the way, baby. So let's do this. I'd like to thank TikTok for my new current obsession. The only reason why I like TikTok, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with TikTok now, but it did bring me my new obsession, so I'm kind of thankful. Early 2021, I believe, was when the More Than a Woman sound became really popular. I think it was earlier this year because I remember it very vividly being January-ish when it was cold. But that More Than a Woman trend really changed my life. I posted a couple of TikToks with that audio. I don't think they got very far, but yeah, that's where my love for the disco era started. But since that trend, my life was completely changed. I think starting to get into the Bee Gees. I was never a fan of the Bee Gees. I did know it from that one episode from The Office when they did the CPR on the dummies and they would do the ba, 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 staying alive, staying alive. They'd have to do it, I believe, it, like, scientifically, the staying alive beats per minute coincides with the chest, I forgot what that's called, but when you give CPR on a dummy or on a person, it has to be a certain beats per minute to get the heart pumping again. So that's the only reason I knew the Bee Gees from The Office, which was weird. But just like I also have a Queen obsession, which is kind of coincides with the 70s, but actually it does. So I mainly just recognized the hits like Staying Alive. I only knew More Than a Woman because of the TikTok stuff. But I only knew Staying Alive because it was just a song that everyone knew. It was also in Madagascar as well. But I saw Saturday Night Fever, the movie, which I highly recommend. It's not the best movie, but it really introduces you to the disco era, like nothing else. Yeah, my life changed after I watched that movie. Like I said, it's not the greatest movie. I mean, John Travolta looks pretty cool. Like, that outfit he has on, the disco white blazer, it's pretty iconic. But I began listening to the Bee Gees, and I totally fell in love with their story. How, there's only one remaining Bee Gee left, by the way, and his life story is to continue his brother's work and continue, like, the story of the Bee Gees, basically. So I think that's totally cool and totally inspiring. How Can You Mend a Broken Heart is my favorite, and How Deep Is Your Love is my literal favorite song. If you go on my Spotify Wrapped, I don't know if my Spotify is public, but I don't have my phone on me. But if you go on my Spotify Wrapped, I believe it's More Than a Woman, then How Deep Is Your Love, in, like, top 5, I believe, of this year. But Too Much Heaven also might be on the top, like, 10. I don't remember, but that song makes me cry very hard. And Night Fever as well. That's a really good song. So I mainly have an obsession with the disco era, which spanned, a little backstory, it spanned from the mid-60s, actually, believe it or not, to the early 80s. And I'm obsessed with the whole Studio 54, Elton John. I like Elton John too. ABBA, the Bee Gees, Diana Ross, Queen. Queen wasn't disco, but I love Queen, so I had to include them. Whenever I think of the 70s, I associate the colors orange, purple, the feeling of goodness, fun, and the overall feeling of being carefree. A little bit into history, this was when like the Woodstock kind of festivals came around, and the teenagers were having like this whole movement of like independence and that kind of sort of thing. So it was all associated with freedom, liberty, goodness, everyone doing their own kind of thing. Just such a good vibe overall. So my love of fashion can be divided into a couple categories. So it goes from ambience, and way of life, fashion, and music, which I kind of covered the first two already. So that leaves us with fashion. There's nothing that influenced me more in fashion than the 70s. From color schemes to pieces of clothing, the 70s just seemed to have it all figured out, basically. There's no, every decade kind of has its own, like, standout thing. For example, like, the 50s has their little poodle skirts and, like, their kind of big, fluffy Grease attire, sort of. 60s has kind of the pre-disco stuff. But the 70s definitely stands out for me, as well as the 80s, but I'll talk about that in another video, maybe. But the 70s definitely stands out in fashion. So let's go with overalls. When I was doing my research, I kind of came up with a couple of articles of clothing that are synchronized. They synchronize with the 70s. So overalls. I don't think overalls flatter me, but it's definitely a staple of the 70s. I haven't found the right pair, actually. It's one of my life goals to find a nice fitting type of overall, I guess. But platform sneakers, platform shoes, I need, since I'm kind of on the short side, if you didn't know. I need a nice pair of platform shoes, whether it's Mary Jane's or like boots. I have some Doc Martens, but I like some like chunky Versace style boots to fit with my love for the 70s. High-waisted jeans. This has been going out. This has been in style for a couple of years now. High-waisted jeans or high-waisted stuff in general. They're literally a lifesaver since I hate working out. So it helps me accentuate my goods and do good for what little I have, basically. Curly hair and afro type styles. Since my obsession, I've had my hair cut just a tiny bit. Like this is the longest it is. But I got like layers like in the back to make it as big as possible. Since the 70s, I've been wanting to like do something bigger with my hair, bigger and better. I just love the whole like Diana Ross-esque afro, huge, puffy thing kind of look. I love it so much and it's so inspiring. The bigger the hair, the better. It's not my hair texture to have an afro, but I just like my hair as big as possible. So let's do that. Let's see. Circle glasses. I got my own pair of circle glasses with my obsession with the 70s. They're the standard Ray-Ban ones. I believe a crap ton of people have them, but it's just like the circle ones that are literally a circle on my face and look pretty cool. They're the brown tinted ones. Yeah, they're pretty cool. It looks good on my face type too. I have kind of an oval shape, if you can't tell. So it fits my face type well. So if you like, definitely cop your own pair of 70s style sunglasses that fit your face type. There's a ton of face charts online and stuff like that. Makeup. I love the whole 70s. Big lashes, bright shadows, nude lips, everything. It's so effortless yet so chic, and it looks like something of its own era. So it's definitely something really, really cool. Even though I'm not the best at makeup, I really like to try and integrate something of the 70s into my everyday look. That includes hair, makeup, style, music, if that makes sense. And I love the Bee Gees, in case you didn't know. So moving on from the Bee Gees, let's get to Silk Sonic. Are you kidding me? I can do an entire episode on Silk Sonic. Silk Sonic released their hit song Leave the Door Open. If you didn't know already, if you haven't heard that song, you live under a rock. It's been such a hit song this year, and it made me fall in love with the 70s even more. I think they noticed the kind of upwards trend the 70s has been doing. So I've been listening to it nonstop, literally since November. Every time I head to work, I literally, from start to finish, the song, and it gets me through my day. Like, I know when I get into work what song it stops on, what song I continue with, you know. Their whole vibe is speakeasy, velour, Bootsy Collins, which he's featured on the album, Studio 54, cigars, orange, purple, reds, disco balls, the whole kind of vibe that goes with the 70s. And Bruno Mars actually, coincidentally, I think before or during the whole Silk Sonic era, he released his own fashion line, Ricky Regal, which was only available this summer. So I didn't know, and the time I wanted to get Ricky Regal was now, but they sold out during the summer. So my favorite songs in this particular order, which is controversial, but in case you wanted to know, include After Last Night. I bumped that song so hard, and it literally makes me want to cry every time I listen to it. Well, I cry about everything, so After Last Night, Leave the Door Open, and 777. That whole song has its own vibe and whole feel. The whole album has its own feel, so I don't even know why I'm ranking them, because they all have their own individual vibe, their whole individual, like, esque thing to them. They're all very good, but if I could rank them 1 to 9, I definitely would. Very controversial, but yeah, I love Silk Sonic. I'm obsessed with them. And yeah, bringing back the whole disco era and revamping it to a new generation with R&B style and rap kind of style that, to appeal to this generation. So that's all I've got. I've talked about Bee Gees and Silk Sonic and how much I am obsessed with the 70s. So yeah, before I go, I know this is the final episode before Christmas. I believe this will be out. Yeah, it definitely is. I don't have an episode coming out next week. It's the week after. So those are the final 2 Immeasurables episodes, by the way, which is kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, I just wanted to say happy holidays to everyone who celebrates it. And yeah, thank you for everything so far with Immeasurables. Yeah, happy holidays. Continue celebrating with your families and people who you love. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Signing off.